For centuries, a white feather has been a symbol of peace, but it's also been a symbol of religion, with many believing that a white feather is from angels. But in the First World War, the white feather was going to start meaning something completely different. When the First World War broke out, Admiral Charles Penrose Fitzgerald, this guy basically, decided to start the Feather Campaign. The campaign was based on the 1901 book The Four Feathers, where the idea of a white feather was seen as a symbol of cowardice, and it was put on men who would avoid the army. At the time of the First World War, we needed the men. On the 30th of August 1914, Fitzgerald started with 30 women. This grew in popularity to the point that women up and down the country were doing their own organisations where they would present men with white feathers if they were out of uniform. The campaign was a success and many men were sent to the front to fight for their country. But as time went on, the white feather girls ended up being hated by bereaved family members and just general soldiers minding their own business. The white feather girls would often be very pushy and force feathers onto any man they saw that was out of uniform, regardless of whether that person had already fought for his country and been injured or was simply on leave. For instance, there was a story of a gentleman who was on leave wearing civilian clothes and ended up pulling out about 9 feathers out of his pocket when he got home, all because he was not in any military clothes. One particular bad case was veteran Reuben W. Farrow. A girl had forced a white feather on him, only for him to show his hand had been blown off as he'd been fighting at the front. She was horrified. In 1916, in response to the aggression of the White Feather Campaign, the government issued for King and Country badges for soldiers to wear while wearing civilian clothes. This was to be able to inform the women that these were soldiers in civilian clothes. In the end, the White Feather Campaign ended with the end of the First World War. It did try to come back in the second, but due to its unpopularity, it didn't last that long. So there you go. That is the White Feather Campaign. I'm glad that it died with the First World War.